Hey there, I'm here to give you a message from Hasbro Entertainment. Are you looking for a way to make some money? Tired of begging on the streets? Good at making decisions that'll affect the safety of people's lives? No? That's also okay. Come on down to Forest Frontiers where you can run and manage your own amusement park. All we'll need from you is your social, earlobe pics, and proof of virginity.
Disclaimer, Hasbro Entertainment is not responsible for any injuries, death, natural and unnatural disasters, mental scars, and or loss of V-card. Only apply if you're a massive cunt.
Hey there, I'm Brandon, and I just got a job. 1999, the year where some of the best video games were introduced to the public. Pac-Man World, Pokemon Snap, Star Wars Yoda's Challenge, EverQuest. But among these games was one that reigned supreme above all else, and that was Donkey Kong 64. So now that we've passed the irrelevant information part of the discussion, it's time to talk about RollerCoaster Tycoon. Created and designed by Scottish game designer Chris Sawyer and published by Hasbro Interactive on March 22nd, 1999 in North America, this game was a construction and management simulation. Who words it like that? It's the game where you make the roller coasters. More specifically, your own entire amusement park. Now, during the development, this was actually meant to be a sequel to one of Sawyer's previous titles called Transport Tycoon. Released back in 1994, it's very similar to the game preceding it, but being centered around moving shit. It involves you building means of transportation, such as trains, trucks, roads, all that stuff, and this right here would be the foundation for what would become RollerCoaster Tycoon. So, it's time to open up the game and start a new save. Now, you might notice that there's no roller coasters. Hey, I just noticed there's no roller coasters. Well, this is the part where you realize you've been had, because you gotta make them yourself. But before that, I should probably let you know that your beginning objective is to have at least 250 guests in your park and an approval rating of 600 by October 1st of your first year. What? Granted, it's not required, you could just take your time, do whatever you want, but if you neglect to do it, then you might want to hide your face in public. Hey, aren't you the guy that didn't do the objective in RollerCoaster Tycoon? So this game plays pretty much how you'd expect. Your main objective is to build the best amusement park you can. You'll start off with a humble amount of rides you can choose from to put in your park. These can range from Ferris wheels to log rides to full-on roller coasters, all of which you can give custom names to. There's also the added ability to design roller coasters. I've made my own little thriller here, specifically designed to make you feel like shit. I call it the toilet. Now, if you're not really the creative type, which is very likely, then just pick from one of the pre-built coasters the game will provide you, you lazy ass. Once you picked your ride, you can place it anywhere you want, as long as it's on your property, of course. And if you run out of land to use, tough. Although you could buy more land, however, that's gonna cost you everything and then some, so it's more of just trying to compact everything together. Of course, roller coasters aren't all you'll need, however. There's also pathways to actually get people places, benches, trash cans, food and drink stands, bathrooms, fences, fountains, the list goes on, and it all relies on your imagination. As long as your imagination isn't more than, at most, $5,000. Landscaping is another great way to give your park more personality. You'll be given the ability to dig up ground and replace it with water, sand, and plenty of other types of materials, while also being able to elevate the land for higher areas or to get rid of mountains in your way. For being such an early game, it actually gives you a lot more freedom than you would expect. Just using all these tools here, you can actually get really wild. I've seen some pretty good parks built by other players, and honestly, it's impressive. So, after messing with all these options for a while, you'll finally have something of semi-value to show off to people, which means it's time to open the gates. But before that, we need a name for our park. I'm thinking of something that'll really convey the essence of this place. Alright, so we overpriced the entry fee, and now the moment has come to wait for guests to start rolling in. Now, luckily for you, this game realizes your park sucks, cause it'll go a little easy on you by sending in a decent amount of people on the first day. Some time passed, everything seems to be going great, you got a few more rides built, and people seem to be enjoying the park, until you start seeing this shit. Yeah, this is the part of the game that annoys me the most, the guests themselves. Absolute tools these people are. They'll vomit, litter, and break things in your park constantly. Granted, however, you can just hire some employees to take care of it. There are actually multiple types of jobs you can hire people for. There's the janitor, who just sweeps up any vomit or litter, takes out the trash, waters the flowers, and mows the lawn. The mechanic, who will check up on the rides as well as fix them, which is very important because I've had more than a handful of rides fail to apply brakes, which killed a few people. The police officer, who stops people from vandalizing the park, and lastly, there's the mascot, who will walk around entertaining guests. So, while hiring them is the best way to keep your park rating up, I still have a problem with some of the employees, being they kinda suck. Seriously, I hired 8 janitors to sweep up vomit, and it's still everywhere, and the police officers are just as bad at stopping people from vandalizing the park. because they don't. It just sucks, because I'm paying these assholes around $50 a month each, and they don't even do their job. Regardless, changing topics to something equally as annoying, there's something you'll want to avoid when making your park that I've made the mistake of doing myself, which is having wide spaces of pathway. Doing this will result in frequent messages of people complaining about not being able to find the exit, which is when it becomes more apparent to you that these people are fucking stupid. I swear to God, I could not figure out why this was happening for the longest time until a while later when the game just outright lets me know that for some reason you can't have dead ends or wide squares because that confuses their AI too much. Definitely a big fuck you to anyone who wanted to make a plaza. Oh, and one last thing to mention about the guest tier, there's a feature that allows you to see a person's information, including their money, position, happiness, thoughts, etc. This is a good way to find out what they want so you can form your park in a way that gets you more approval. Sometimes they'll complain about prices being too high or pathways being too filthy. It's probably the only good thing about these parasites, aside from their money. And speaking of which, if you somehow haven't noticed already, everything we've just discussed so far is gonna cost you. Money is the only way you're gonna get anywhere in this game, so you're gonna have to find a way to get some. The only real option for making a profit is from your guests. See, everything that is built in your park has a fee that needs to be paid before it can be used. Roller coasters, food stands, the fucking bathroom, crank up the price for all that shit for maximum legal theft. However, don't get too cocky with your prices, because for as much crap as I gave the guests, they're still smart enough to not buy anything they deem too expensive. Sometimes. And honestly, the way they determine a reasonable price seems to be random, at least in my experience. They won't pay more than 50 cents to ride one of my best roller coasters, but I've no problem dishing out 20 bucks for an umbrella. So just start with reasonable prices, because if you mess up, your balance will be in the negatives with no real way to turn things around because you decide to make your bathroom fee $35, you fucking monster. Now, you could try to sell everything in your park and start from scratch, but even then that may not work, so you'll just have to create a new file, which is something you'll end up doing a lot. Being actually good at this game can take some time, as you're bound to constantly make irreversible mistakes. This game is unforgivable as hell. One minute you're designing your child and the next your park rating drops severely because you forgot to finish your child and your child has now killed 20 people. Another thing I should mention is that the money you start out with when creating a new save is actually a loan, meaning it's borrowed money, meaning you have to pay it back, meaning if you don't, you're forced to fork over interest every month. Granted, it's only like $16.40, but still, it's probably best you pay off your loan when you can. Before you know it, it'll start adding up. This was honestly something I had no clue about until finding out completely by accident and having to restart my game because I was already too far gone to gain any money back. So as your park starts building up, there are a few more tools to be used that will give you a bit more help. These are the stats, basically just allowing you to see every bit of information about your park. You can view how much money you're making and losing from certain things, see a graph of the population, roller coaster status, previous messages, and a lot of other important stuff. Alongside that, there is a marketing campaign tool that allows you to advertise your park, or some of your rides, to get more customers on them. However, this will cost you depending on what it is you decide to promote. The other tool here is the research and development, which lets you unlock new roller coasters and other things throughout your playthrough. However, this is pretty pricey to do, costing you around $100 to $400 a month, depending on how fast you want the research to go, or you could just disable it completely, which is recommended if you want to save money and already have most of everything unlocked. This feature is actually automatically enabled when starting the game, so just a heads up if you're wondering why $200 is being taken from your finances every month. Now, let's say you've created the best amusement park you possibly can, but unfortunately you're weird and felt it was too easy. Well, lucky for you, there's more ways to challenge yourself with the many different scenario types this game offers, accompanied with their own objectives. There are 21 of these things, but most of them you need to unlock by completing the other park's objectives, so I'll just go over the ones you start out with. First off, there's the one that most people choose, Forest Frontiers, which is just flat terrain with a bunch of trees. Good beginner stuff, and the one I used to build my own park. Next, there is Dynamite Dunes. Same concept, but in the desert with one roller coaster already pre-built in it. Leafy Lake, literally just the same thing, but with a huge-ass lake in the center. Diamond Heights, an already established and successful theme park, leaving you tasked to expand upon it, while doubling the park's value. Evergreen Gardens, demolishing nature for profit, and Bumbly Beach, which is just a small local theme theme park, and all you gotta do is build upon it. Now, when this game was released, there were a couple of expansion packs that you could get, which included new roller coasters and a whole bunch of new land types. These were called Corkscrew Follies and Loopy Landscapes, and I won't go through all the scenarios that they add because there's just way too many, but I did like the ones that have you build on an iceberg, and the other one, which was just a huge ass volcano. This was pretty cool. So, being wrong and assuming that was all the scenarios that were offered, there are a few more here based on real life parks, which would be really cool if I had any idea about their existence. And lastly, a single park in the extras menu called Fort Anachronism? Anachronism. Not sure what makes this one so unique to get its own section. It could easily fit in with the other 21 main scenarios, but whatever. So anyways, after all that talking, we've finally managed to finish our own park. Plenty of rides here, we've pretty much used up all the space, and I would say I'm happy with the final result, but this is just mediocre. Alright, I'm bored of this already. Yeah, good game. Honestly though, this was a big part of Brandon's single-digit years. Yeah, that's right, I did have the first game and not the sequel when growing up. Yeah, I still don't know what sex is. How does that relate? Of course, I couldn't really play the game correctly back then and spent most of my time drowning people, so it's easy to see where my priorities were. But now, just sitting down and designing my own theme park is just fun. I haven't played a simulator game in such a long time, so it really kind of reminded me why they're so fun in the first place. All the little imperfections and stupid things like the NPCs do just really add to the experience. It's a simulation game that manages to make people annoying, so I'd say it's pretty accurate. Also, the visuals are just so outdated and scream late 90s, I love it. It uses the same trick as Donkey Kong Country, basically just taking pictures of 3D rendered models and turning them into sprites. Put that all together and you've got a game worth trying out. Well, I just got fired for what the company calls possession of illegal firearms, whatever that means. You know what? I take it back. This game fucking blows. I'm sorry. I will never do that again. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I don't think this will excuse the homicides.